Inspired by it.
Motivation.
Inspired by EQ.
Motivation.
Inspired by motivation. Inspired by it.
Motivation.
Inspired by EQ.
Motivation.
Inspired by motivation.
Welcome to the first episode of my personal podcast. This is Talks with AQ, where I discuss a lot of motivational topics, any topics that you suggest, or any music related things, and just go right into it. So first and foremost, I go by AQ. AQ is derived from my actual name. I'm not going to say my full name, but as many of y'all know, the two parts of my name are derived from Caribbean cultures such as Haiti and Puerto Rico. So AQ in short is basically the nickname that has driven me to success and helped me stay motivated within myself. As you know, I have a YouTube called Inspired by AQ. The beginning song that you heard is the theme or the new intro that I created, which, as I might add, is something that I made on my phone. And a lot of my beats are made through GarageBand, and I just record them. This specific beat at the intro was simply just made all on the phone and not with a professional microphone. It was just made with a microphone that's on the headphones. It's very interesting to me when you really think about how far we have progressed in technology, and with technology, we have the ability to do so many things. Like, our ideas and creativity are limitless. We can do anything with the touch of a button. Like the Mac computer, you could do so much, or any type of computer, you can just do so much involved with editing, whether you are in the field of photography, video, or blogging, or if you're involved in social media heavily, you can really put your twist on it and you can do whatever you want. Like, the ideas are limitless. No one can tell you different. And even if you're not in a super professional setting that has those materials that you need, you can make it for yourself. In this life, it's really important to be innovative, especially in times such as now. We are going through coronavirus. We are either being outside or still in quarantine. We are still living the life of being survivors. And you have to be a survivor in this life. In a lot of my videos, I always speak of motivating yourself, and motivating is very vital to your life and your health. But also, having that survivor's mentality is also important too, because you have to be able to be innovative and creative, and you can't let your ideas wallow away. I always repeat this, and I always say, don't let your ideas wallow away. Don't wallow yourself away, because that's real bad for you. Because I can understand from a perspective of being by yourself all the time, you have to really find things to really get yourself up, and as you say, get you very peppy and get you up to do things. You have to be really involved with yourself. You gotta make do with what you have. I'm a firm believer in using what you have. Don't make excuses. Just because you don't have what someone else has doesn't mean you cannot succeed in that dream. Remember, there are tools that you have to use first, and then once you utilize and master those tools, you can go on to the next available thing. I think the misconception at times is I have to buy the most expensive device. I can't just use the one that I have. Realize, once you master the device that you have presently, and then you go on to the next upgrade, then you can really do some damage. I have an example. My prior device I was using was a Dell model PC, and there was a lot of things that I could do, but I was limited. In order to have strength on those limitations, I had to just use what was there and just be creative. Like, for example, I didn't have Photoshop, I didn't have Illustrator, I didn't have any of the Adobe Premiere programs. So what did I do? I went on a Word document and I just put together different photos, clip arts, and I made something out of nothing. Sometimes you just have to do that in order to learn how to understand photography or editing or organizing or finding the right type of aesthetic that works for you. You have to do those things in order to succeed. Sometimes we are impatient. You have to be honest with yourself with that. If you're impatient, you aren't going to be willing to put in the effort to do those certain things. So what do you do now? You try to buy the most available, super inventive device that's going to give you what you need, and then bam, you're there wasting all that money to use this device, and then you still have to learn. No matter what you have in your possession, you have to learn how to use it. That is the most important thing and the most vital thing. But moving on from technology, my day has been pretty good, and I hope your day has been great too. And I thank you for taking the time to listen to this first episode. It's really jam-packed with just me speaking and discussing a lot of topics of our day and things I've been thinking about. First and foremost, I know motivating yourself can be tough, especially when you are watching things. But remember, sometimes you may have to take a minute and get away from those devices, your technology, your social media, and take some time to yourself. It's important to think internally and really think deeply about ideas. You have to build your own mindset and just air out all those poisonous airwaves, because sometimes they can really take a toll on you, and they can manipulate your mood, they can manipulate your mental health, they can do so many things that can hurt you. You gotta take that time and take a break from those things and make a stand for yourself. Realize that your health comes first, and you have to be the one to create those ideas for yourself. Don't let anyone make them for you. You gotta develop your own opinion. Don't base your opinion off of someone else's idea. I take that from learning in school when you had to go through different type of debates. You have to create your own opinion and not form it based off of the majority, because not everyone believes the same thing. That's not even possible, because we're not clones of each other. We're all individuals. So as an individual, you have your own thoughts and ideas and aspirations. So why not take the time and believe in it? As you could have heard, that was my stomach growling, but I'm not hungry. You have to believe in you. You have to speak your truth. I say this on my channel all the time. Speak your truth. Don't let anyone box you. And that also stands for not letting anyone determine who you are. Because the question is, who are you? Do you know who you are? Have you found yourself? Some of us haven't found ourselves yet and are still finding ourselves. As you are on that road to finding yourself, just remember, it's a process and there are levels. Now, moving on to my next topic of the day, it's more involved with music. Now, as you can see, in music, there are a lot of artists that are releasing a lot of content. You have big major artists from the major labels releasing content. Major artists like I've heard is 6ix9ine with his new Trolls song, and him recently coming out of jail, and a lot of people either identifying with him as a snitch and degrading him, or some people defending him because he was only doing right for his family. Personally, for me, what I believe and my take on it is, if you are going into your profession and you have a lot of those things mixed into it, such as, the street life, you have to really choose wisely who you are going to surround yourself with. Surrounding yourself with and your surrounding are the vital points of that. Because if you surround yourself with poison, that poison will eventually kill you. And as drastic as it sounds, it holds truth and it holds merit. You have to be careful who you surround yourself with in any type of way, whether it's music or whether it's any other type of occupation. Watch who you're with, because you never know who's going to be your snake or who's going to be the Judas in your life. You have to be very, very careful. Just like I've always been told this, be careful who you trust. Trust is a big word. A lot of us use trust very willingly. You have to be very careful with who you trust and who you give that to. There comes a time when a lot of people don't really see that and they just take it for granted. And in some ways of life, I can understand why he had to snitch. And I can see that. And as anything with the music industry, they're selling a product. And that product is the artist. The artist has to be a certain type of way so that they can sell those millions and sell those records. So it's not really about the real person. It's just about the product or the character that they are trying to sell. So keep that in mind when you're listening to music these days. I personally enjoy listening to a lot of like older music, 90s, 80s. I prefer, old school R&B, old school hip hop, reggae, preferably, Bob Marley. And I think with music like that, you find the organic aspects of it because you see someone who's organically doing something, who has organic ideas and is not fabricated. And it's very important to feed yourself with things that can feed you knowledge. Just like I was discussing poison, you don't want poison in your life. You need something that's going to feed you with knowledge, your mental state, and your mental capacity. Because if you have knowledge in your brain and you're getting good music to you that has that good instrumentation, the good lyrics that's going to inspire you, and all of those things, you aren't going to be caught in those toxic tendencies. And that's just based on my opinion. I feel like with the taste of our music, it has gone through a period of deterioration. And in order to really be in tune with yourself, find music that will feed you with intelligence and feed you with intellect. I go back to this. Tupac is a good example because a lot of people relate Tupac to Machiavelli and they're able to use some of Tupac's lyrics in educational purposes. If you can't use an artist for educational purposes or ways to feed knowledge, what are you really doing? And artists of today, such as the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Coles, they have good lyrics. They have good music. They have music that will relate to you, music that speaks to you, music that makes you think about that time that they were discussing in the song. And there was this point where a lot of people were saying, why haven't we heard from Kendrick Lamar? Why haven't we heard from J. Cole about the world today? And I thought about it, and I was like, do you guys realize that Kendrick Lamar had made To Pimp a Butterfly that talked about police brutality and all of the things that we're dealing with today? He actually spoke about it in that full album, and it discussed the full-length story about what his thoughts on it were. Just in knowing that, he already was ahead of the game and ahead of his time. Even before that, Bob Marley, ahead of his time with revolutionary music that changed the game, that even to the point that the government had to shut him down. It's to that point when you really think about music is you have to have music that feeds you, feeds the soul, feeds the mind, feeds your heart. You can't have music that will contaminate you. And with more expanding on this topic of music and moving into our next topic, I believe in theory you need music that will inspire you. And for me, I really am trying to work and make music that will make someone feel good and feel great. Today we have trap music. There's nothing wrong with music today. It's just that sometimes the quality of it gets so overbearing that it's all you hear and it's all you see. And when you start hearing things over and over again, then it ends up being like a monkey see, monkey do type situation. Like I'm telling you what I'm talking about all the time. Oh, hope you're listening. It's like a Nightmare on Elm Street type thing. You're going to wake up to it. You're going to dream about those lyrics. And for me, I always correlate certain types of music to certain type of moods. Like if you want to party, you'll listen to trap music. you want to lay back and chill, listen to that chill, laid back jazz music. You know what I'm saying? If you want to feel love, listen to some R&B. You want to feel some like deep stuff, listen to some conscious hip hop. There's like music for different type of mood. And when I see music, it's a different type of mood. But I don't think everyone else can see it that way. So that's kind of like what I'm kind of basing my opinion off of when I say feed yourself with music that will challenge you, challenge your mind, make you think. Because the more you think, the more you start to build your own perspective. Now, moving on to a suggested topic. A lot of people on the Inspired by AQ page had given suggestions, and this is one suggestion that stood out, and it was racism. Now, in our time during these days, we are facing the injustices of police brutality. We're facing racism, facing prejudice, we're facing colorism, and all different type of events that have been going on for years on years on years on years. And I believe a lot of times certain people can dish out a lot of hate at times. I always want to preach the importance of love and bringing one another together and not tearing each other down. I saw this one thing, and as an example, a well-known voice actor had gotten a role in an anime, worked hard and all those things, and her background is Puerto Rican, and she's basically an Afro-Latina, and she got in the role in this big anime, and the clip of her voice acting debuted, and a lot of people shared it on Twitter and reacted to it. And a lot of people were saying that it was quote-unquote trash. It was quote-unquote not the best. And I had commented and I had said, wow, this is really good. Like, your vocal inflections, the way that your mood is, how you're displaying the actor's tone. It's really instrumental in what the character is. And I really like what you did with it. And I wanted to give some positive feedback because I wanted to support a fellow queen in her occupation, doing great things. We have to stop tearing each other down. And yes, it's terrible and it's bad that people are dying and people are suffering. It's terrible that people get judged. But for us, ourselves, it's time that we stop tearing each other down and we start building each other up. We have to be able to speak to each other, communicate, and find a way to come to an understanding. Because if we don't come to an understanding, then all hope is lost. You have to truly understand each other, and you have to truly see the light that's within. I grew up in a household that was Haitian, and the other side of me is Puerto Rican. A lot of people sometimes may not know this about me, and even within school years and school times, a lot of people used to make fun of me or not see who I was, even when I said that's what I represented. And they would just say, you're just this, you're just that, you can't be anything else. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, there are people that just judge you and label you as such and treat you differently because of what you may represent. And it sucks at times. It sucks that people have that idea in their mind about how they see life, and it's not their fault. It's more of just how the world works at times. I think about some of the topics such as, the racism, the prejudice, the colorism, and I try to understand it as this, and it's just a personal opinion. When I see the world, I see it as a melting pot. I see it as a place that's filled with so much culture, so many people from different backgrounds that can offer so many fresh perspectives. And it's such a blessing and a great thing to be able to be surrounded by so many people. In high school, I had a friend group of a friend who was Korean. I had a friend who was Dominican. I had another friend who was mixed with so many different other cultures. And then there was me who's mixed with cultures. And that was our friend group. I think finding that representation and finding a crowd of people that you can share together with is a huge representation of MLK's dream. And when I think about it, I always used to say as a kid, I said, if I ever was president, I'd have the ideology of MLK, but I would also strive for unity and keeping people together. And it sucks at times because we get divided. We have hatred. People have their experiences. They don't have good ones. And they have to speak out. They got to speak their truth because the conversation helps. It's good to have a conversation about these things because it is a serious issue. And it's good that we speak on it. It's good that we communicate because the more we communicate, the more we stop being silent, the more we speak about it, is the more we come to an understanding that in life, we have to keep on working hard, staying true to ourselves, and not letting anyone decide for us. I know as we look at the world and we look at how things are going with COVID and a lot of the events with people being upset with the unrest, we have to work to a brighter future. Because yes, it's good that changes are coming. It's great. But then what's next? Let's continue to support each other. Let's bring each other up. Let's let go of the old system and let's bring in a new system that will unite everyone and that will bring in the importance of culture and love. Because if there's not love, then there will be hate. Can't have hate. And it's funny, I always think about the old things that we did as kids. Like there was this movie and it was based on MLK's life and it was the cartoon movie. I don't know if y'all remember it. I can't really say it off the top of my head, but I remember that specifically, and I thought about it and I said, you know, I have so much love for my people. So much love. Whether you're Caucasian, whether you're Asian, whether you're Latino, you know, whether you're from Europe, I have so much love for you. And I hope that we can continue to let our cultures thrive and grow, manifest, and develop into something even new, because a lot of cultures are mixing together, like interracial cultures are getting together, interracial couples are coming together and they are, you know, manifesting children who represent both cultures, and it's just becoming a huge melting pot, and it's like the best feeling ever to see that. And you really have to thank the world and thank our society for manifesting something new, because we are not as we were back in the day. Things are changing, and hopefully we will grow into a brighter future. My hope is that we develop success and we continue with a standard of excellence, because that's what we deserve. We deserve excellence. We don't deserve second best. We don't deserve being last. We deserve to be the best. And if we're going to be the best, we got to work for that thing. We got to work and support each other. I refer this back to another podcast I was a part of. Shout out to Touche, managed by Shan Marie and also Lady Segura. They had me on their show plenty of times, and they got me on podcasts. And they always say artists supporting artists, and it's very important. We should always support our fellow artists, give them so much support, show them to a friend so that that friend can show it to another friend, and then boom, we're in a whole continuum of support. It's very important. So support your artists, Support your friends, support your people doing it, and give them support. As always, I thank you so much for listening. This is the first episode of Talks with AQ. Please have a wonderful day. And if you have any suggestions for topics for the next episode, please don't hesitate to DM me at Inspired by AQ on Facebook, Instagram, or AQ the Singer on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. I'm on all the medias. Don't hesitate to contact me and also comment how this made you feel. This will be released on all streaming platforms. So please, take the time to listen. This is Inspired by AQ. Also AQ the Singer. Also AQ. This Talks with AQ. I'm out.